You see, it is always good we are settled and then we start the journey. So, last week we understood what is the meaning of commitment, sincerity, and devotion of learning and practice. But when we start learning with commitment and sincerity, devotion from the teacher, there is one big problem that we need to address. Big problem that challenges every part of the learning. It causes lot of problems in the family, in the professional life, and also the social life. So as I've told you that this is just a synopsis of these 40 steps. So we are going to deal with this big challenge. What is that? It is our ego. So the master says, replace egoistic life by learning and serving with the higher consciousness. So we'll understand what is this ego, how the ego takes over. Is ego a helper? Yes. Is ego a barrier? Yes. How to help ourselves to get out of this ego business. Briefly, it is ego keeps a false account of the world and give importance only to our personality, not to our existence. As long as the ego veils the real self, this never gives any importance to the real self. Okay, I have understood. So the ego wants to color itself as if it is the real self. It is the biggest problem in the journey. You see, that is why we need a teacher. Ego, a divisive perspective to be one of the cause of duality, is only an intermediate phenomena of consciousness necessary for certain time of life in the evolutionary process, a process which could eventually lead to a dissolution of ego. One great master, especially on Saturday session who are attending, he says, Naham tada moksho. You are in peace and happiness, love and wisdom, where there is no ego. And where there is ego, there is a bondage, there is a suffering. There is a bondage in the suffering. So, what does it mean to be an ego? We might think having an ego means an inflated self-image or thinking too much, but it is totally different. It is totally different. To be an ego is to be fixed in the body, to be identified with the body. To be fixed in a body is to be confined to just one tiny location in space, just one small amount of time. To be an ego is to forget most of what happened in the past, to anticipate only poorly what is coming in the future, and to see just so much of the present moment as happens to grab our attention. We are going slowly. To be an ego is to have a very small existence. That is how we understand ego. To have a very small existence, tiny existence. On the other hand, in the society we feel as if ego means, you are bragging yourself. No. It is totally different. The great master Ramakrishna says the feeling of ego has covered the truth, the real self. Now see the beautiful message, the I of I. I of a man recedes, the I of real self approaches. If this ego cannot be got rid of, then the master says, let the rascal remain as the servant of the real self. A beautiful phrase. I always love it. He says, if this ego cannot be got rid of, you cannot get rid of, it's okay. Then let this rascal remain as a servant of the real self, of the pure consciousness. A man achieves neither knowledge nor freedom as long as he has egoism. He comes back again and again in the world. Comes back again and again in the world. Now, for those who understand the three guna, this ego is of the nature of tamas. It causes ignorance. One gets out of the ego when you reach to the highest state of meditation. What is that highest state of meditation? It is known as nirvikalpa samadhi. Highest state of meditation. Now this master further says there is no harm in the ego of a child or an ego of a servant. He who has found the self alone has become the world and all its living beings. Ego of a child is not attached to anything. The child is beyond the three gunas. Going little deeper, what exactly is this ego? It is an I thought in the intellect that gives an experience of the self. I am, which is curtain that makes us feel we are separate from the existence, separate from the universe. That is what. Now see the beautiful way to understand it. Real self is absolute. Ego says, I am relative. Understand? I am relative. For example, another example here, live example. I am confined to my room, to my studio. Too far, I am having a virtual session. I am already confined in the space and the time. This ego we are talking about. We are not talking about the ego having the self-image. That ego creates a barrier. Our real self is timeless. Ego says, work in the time. Our real self is absolute. The ego says, be relative. The real self is stable. Ego says, be dynamic. Real self is infinite. Ego says you are finite. Take one example. Car has 4 wheels, steering, engine, fuel. Where is the car? If you point that these wheels are a car, but these are the wheels, all the parts together creates an idea. That idea, that concept is the car. Same way, different organs, your body, sense organs, mind, intellect, all grouped together, and then the I thought is created. We are talking of this ego. Beautiful statement coming from one master. The master says it is a temporary arrangement by the nature to evolve. Ego is a temporary arrangement by the nature to evolve and replace. Once we continue to evolve, reach to the higher state of meditation, the I thought is replaced by our real self. That is what I am, I want, I desire, I like, I dislike, I hate, I love. Ego. It is in ego sense. You see, one great famous, I don't remember the philosopher in the West, who says, I think, therefore I am. Ego. I exist, therefore I think. So it comes from the I thought. Now let us briefly understand there are different types of ego. There is a mental ego. If the consciousness is identified with the mind, it is mental ego. What mental ego says? My judgment. What I'm saying is right. My belief is right. I defy the knowledge. I'm not ready to accept and open myself. That is mental ego. You see, we have found a very delicate way. We say masters have taught us. We say it is the principle in the Eastern wisdom. So we get rid of it. We don't want to argue. You have to look into the principle and find out. So this is mental ego. What is about the vital ego or the emotional ego? If my consciousness places or concentrates itself with an emotional level, then the person possesses this emotional ego. They dominate with their emotional influence. You see all my friends, I'm suffering, and then you pay a sympathy. That is emotional ego. I have been in grief for the last 10 years. Really? Are you sure? That is also an emotional ego. Look at it. How deeply the masters have understood. Then comes the physical ego. I'm so beautiful. You see me? I'm handsome. I'm beautiful. That is a very easy part of it, If the person, my consciousness is identifying with the body. Physical ego has other part also. What is that physical ego? I become totally lethargic. Idleness. And I do sometimes physical heroic works. I told you that one of our beautiful women who is a good yoga teacher in New Jersey, and she always demonstrates the most difficult postures. And she has to do it in order to run her business. And that demonstration has sent her to hospital 3 times with 3 surgeries of the spine. Look at the physical. Look at physical. So she told me, I have also been doing, yoga for the last 20 years. I said, I agree with you. I have come here to give you a class of meditation, mindfulness, only. I don't know too much. So you see that physical ego? And now comes the sattvic ego. So Lara, sattvic ego brings knowledge and happiness. I am receiving knowledge. I am full of delight. I know everything about meditation. For example, if I say that, what happens? My journey of evolution stops. So when my journey of evolution stops, it is a sattvic ego. It appears very good. So my master says, never claim that you are a teacher. Remain as a seeker on the path of the knowledge. See that? See the beauty of understanding. the principles. Then comes the Rajasic ego. The Rajasic ego has taken over the entire world. I'm very busy. Overexertion. Don't disturb me. I'm winning. I'm losing. I'm making effort. Success in the work is mine. The failure is mine. I'm strong. I'm fortunate. I'm happy. I'm unhappy. If I do lot of things, I will succeed. All these are Rajasic ego. What it does, it keeps you running. At home, mind is running. Outside, you are running all the time. You don't see that state of the calmness. Tamasic ego, full of ignorance and inertia. I'm wretched, I'm helpless, I'm lazy, I'm incapable, I'm good for nothing. Sometimes we feel that. Sometimes we feel that I have no hope, I'm so weak, so obscure, so miserable, so oppressed. Tamasic ego. Look at the clear understanding of these things. I'm unsupported, nobody supports me. No, I'm kidding. Lara is not supporting me now. No, I'm kidding. Yes. You see, don't have that feeling. That is the Tamasic ego. I think I should go a little deeper. How ego is the helper. We should understand that. It's very important. We say ego is always harmful. Our whole life has revolved around ourselves from the childhood, bound by social rules and regulations. All we have done, even apparently, most disinterested and least egoistic act has been done with a view to our own personal growth and illumination. Let me simplify. Father told me, now you have to behave like this. You have to behave like this. You. So he is pointing me to individual being. From there I start recognizing I thought as I am. See that? So my parents did the right thing to me. My teachers did the right thing to me. No, you have to study hard. Go back. You have to study so that you as an individual, to become an individual, ego is the helper. Are you getting it? To become an individual, ego is the helper. One has to build that ego. Go to your patio, look at the plant. Can they have a sense of being individual? No. We have that sense of being an individual. Ask your dog and the cat. You are an individual. They are not. The society also compels us to work in a manner to follow the rules and the regulation. That helps build my ego. That ego makes me an individual. Profession also. You see, even in the profession, here are your duties and responsibilities, my friend. You don't discharge it? Why you? You see that? I'm pointing you. You as an individual, again. So you becomes the helper. Ego has helped what? That ego has helped us to become an individual as compared to all other creations. How? By using knowledge, intelligence, and power. Ego is a helper. Ego helps us to create my own identity in this world. Ego helped it to overcome its own barriers and limitations and start challenging the world. So you understand that you part? In the beginning, animals do not have that individualization process. Neither animals nor plants. But we have that individualization process. Once that is complete, now the ego becomes a great obstacle and it becomes a great barrier. Are you an individual? Yes, I am an individual. Now what happens after making us a better human in comparison to other animals? Ego has not completely left us. Then ego tries to assert itself in the negative way. We succumb to its pressure, tactics, and start respecting its demands. Finally, our being is controlled and dominated by ego. When ego was settled in us completely, this little ego has taken its root in our being and completely defines our individuality. That ego becomes a great barrier. Another master puts a beautiful saying. This ego is a temporary variable. If you have studied mathematics and we understand the variable. It is a temporary variable to be replaced by my real self. Then only the mother says ego is the helper so long as it is needed to form the individual. But when that is formed, ego must disappear. Now see bad impact of ego. Ego is the most formidable of the knots, the bondage that keeps us tied to the ignorance. Simple thing. More the problems you experience in the life, greater the ego. Simple way to understand. More the problems you have. No, Daniel, no, I hate Daniel. I like Sergey. I love Lara, but Lara doesn't pay any attention. And just go on. I'm explaining, come on. So these thoughts are creating suffering in our life. Blame, complaint, reaction game is continuing in my life. Greater the difficulties in my life, we have to go deeper. When you have a greater difficulties in the life, then sit down, contemplate and reflect and find out the strengths and the vibes deeper inside you. You will find it is the ego. My master always used to tell us in a different way. Being fearful. No, I'm not fearful. That is just a statement. The egoistic people are very much scared inside. What will happen to me during coronavirus? Nothing will happen to you. Take simple precaution. See that? Ego, it is that harmful ego causes the suicidal tendency and the depression. One master clearly explains. The root, one of the major factor of the mental disorder, including the depression and the suicide, we'll understand deeply later. Just you can understand that all bitterness in life always comes from the ego refusing to abdicate. We will be brief. What should we do to overcome our ego? Yeah, that would be the last. Through love and the self-giving. Love lacks ego. Ego lacks love. The great master Aurobindo says. No, you don't like me and I still love you. It is your ego. Do you see that? Do you see the expression? Learn this, understand this. The moment if your mind uses that, you see that you don't love me and I love you so much. It is your ego. Love lacks ego. And ego lacks love. When we have passed beyond the individual making process, then we should get rid of this ego. My master guided me one thing. Do you believe me? I say yes. Do you trust me? Yes. I know that. So whenever you have a problem, say, thy will be done. Master, you will do everything the best. What is the best and the greatest and the highest in my life? My son, now he has become a big guy. In his early childhood, he could not learn mathematics. And I used to be upset. And I would say I used to be angry at those times. So one day I was angry before the master. Master shouted at me, "Stop this. Leave everything on me." And from that day I didn't say anything to him. Now, IT, in IT you need to have that mathematics. He's done all this IT stuff, cyber security and other stuff. What is the main message? That when this ego attacks you like a COVID-19, sit down, let thy be done, empty yourself. That is one approach of killing that ego in us. Yes, you can use a very strong willpower. The mind is thinking and reacting against Jerry inside. It has yet to manifest outside. So use that strong willpower. The mind says, no, she is not good. And tell with the strong willpower, stop this. You're coming out of the ego. First you stop this. Then I will talk to her. Do you understand that? Many ways. And definitely when you practice meditation, you share your experiences with yourself again and again. You see, when I did meditation, I was so calm, and even I had those reactive thoughts, I did not react. Learn that. My mind learned that idea, learned that practice. You have to do more practice of meditation to reach to a state, even if the thought of reaction enters into your mind, you don't react. You don't react. And one of, why Buddha, the way we understand the mindfulness means nothingness or emptiness. So my master used to say the Buddha use this word nothingness, and if you taste nothingness, the ego disappears. It is replaced by kindness and compassion. Means what? Practice meditation daily. Check yourself. Check yourself, your attitude, your behavior. So if you have experienced nothingness, you become kind and compassionate. Now another part. We have understood the word desire, then we will start our practice. Six enemies of it is 6 enemies. Did you understand? The desire, the greed and anxiety, hesitation, delusion, pride, and the jealousy. Ego lives on these 6 enemies. Other way. So solution, I have to work on those 6 enemies. You see, this is a total different perspective to understand. Do it intellectually. Ego comes, recognize it, and then tell the ego, your time has gone now. I'm not going to listen to you. Your time has gone. That ego says, I will say, react against someone. Become aware. Tell the mind. Tell the ego in your mind, your time has gone. No more time. The other part, when you are guided by that ego, what you do, you force the mind to love that person, that event. The traces of ego goes away when you reach to the highest state of meditation. So I believe you have some glimpse of it, synopsis of it. The way we understand ego in Eastern wisdom is different from what is the popular notion about ego. And just pick up one of the practices, apply that in your life, and you will see the difference. One of the greatest factor of ego, when you say Om Shanti, thought says, no, do this, Om Shanti. Apply this in daily life. When you have enmity, reaction against anyone, in the mind say Om Shanti and continue talking to that guy. Om Shanti. No, I'm not listening to you. Let us start our journey of meditation. We have close your eyes in the stage 1 position of the body and mind, facing inside, looking inside. When the mind is looking inside, become aware of the calmness there. Become aware of the calmness there. Where? Deep inside you. Continuity of the calmness. We have done the 14th step, and we will continue our journey. Sadhana Panchakam. So body is steady. So after 9 we'll have question and answer session. So first, mind is looking inside, you are aware of the calmness, and continuity of the calmness is broken by, again you can understand, by the ego. Ego says, go outside. What the hell you are doing sitting with eyes closed? Are you seeking peace and happiness? Go there and get engaged in desire, etc., etc. See that this is another way to understand. So now we settle deeply, move the mind from the top of the head to the toes, looking at all the joints from crown of the head to the tailbone, and experience sensation being comfortable and steadiness, being carefree. Third step in the stage when being carefree, let any thought come, go, stay. I'm not concerned. I gave you 3 examples: standing across the road watching the traffic, separation, mind living within, like if you see the ocean, deep inside, calmness, surface, waves, and being casual. Being casual. Casual is being natural, completely. Sometimes you find out, oh, naturally what I did, I'm taking a tea, I'm talking, and I'm walking perfectly in a natural state. In that state, the mind raises its awareness to purify the mind in the stage 2, looking deep inside the belly button. And continue to be aware of the calmness and start breathing quick, short, gentle breath from both the nostrils into the belly. Continue. Keep looking deep inside the forehead or the heart. Continue belly breathing. And stop this. Second step in this purification is the humming sound. Start breathing deep, silent, slow. It should take time, and while breathing out, looking inside the forehead, continue humming sound. We have understood that this humming sound should be felt inside and in and around the forehead. If that doesn't happen, find out how to do the humming, changing the mode and the variation of the breath. Continue. Stop this humming sound, but continue breathing deep, silent, slow. And every time you inhale, move the mind from the crown of the head to the tailbone. And every time you exhale, the mind moves from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Now look at the journey. This is the third step in the purification and removing the projection. Because of that, the mind keeps running outside with an I thought. So the body is in the state of steadiness. It is the tamasic guna. The breath is moving, it is rajasic, but when you add the clear mind, it becomes the sattvic. It reveals the knowledge. How it will reveal the knowledge? Every time the breath is going in and out, with every breath, every inhalation and exhalation, you drop Om Shanti 5 times. During inhalation, 5 times. During exhalation, 5 times. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. And you want to go a little deeper while saying Om Shanti? Look behind Om Shanti, the infinite space, calmness, that is continuing. Now we move to the stage 3 of the Nyasa. Drop the Om Shanti. Continue deep silence, slow breathing. That is your car. Mind is the driver. Move the mind with the breath inside the right arm. From the shoulder to the fingertips, and from the fingertips to the shoulder, deep inside into the space. The space inside is the highway. Car is the driver. Breath is your vehicle. You're giving an opportunity to the mind to transcend the body consciously. I won't use the word out of the body experience. Now inside the left arm, I did it for years and years together, and then one day Master says, do it with eyes open. And it happened. And now inside the right leg, from the right side of the waist to the toes. What is our objective? Let the mind maintain its awareness of the space inside, being held by the breath. And outside there is a total motionless state of the body. Now inside the left leg, breath is deep, silent, slow. It is moving with the mind, or the mind is moving with the breath in the space inside the left leg at this moment. And now inside the spine, from the top of the head to the tailbone, and from the tailbone to the crown of the head, with the breath, looking into the infinite space, and just ask the mind, is the calmness continuing which I have experienced in the very first step in the beginning? Enough. Will achieve success. The ego comes as a barrier with the thoughts and feelings and the past impression. And now leave this deep silent slow breath. Look inside the forehead. Keep looking there in the infinite space. And fifth stage, Om Shanti. You have to superimpose anything comes into the head or the mind. Any thought, Om Shanti. Any image, Om Shanti. Any experience, Om Shanti. I believe you remember I told you the step of superimposition, gently, softly, with awareness. It is like this. You come to me and I said, who are you? You say, Om Shanti. Where are you? Why you have come, Om Shanti? Which car you do? Om Shanti. For every question, your answer is simple, Om Shanti. So what will happen to me? I'll say, okay, thank you very much. I'm not talking to you. Means what? My mind becomes quiet. It goes deeper. That is what we are doing. Now drop this also. We move into the stage number 5, dropping of Om at 4 centers. How you drop it? Casually you look inside the crown of the head. Be there, aware, feel the presence and experience the space, and just in that space drop Om with love. Then move to inside the forehead, awareness of the space, nothingness, and drop Om inside the heart. Not very fast, casual, in your own way. Om inside the belly button, and then return again from the belly button Om to the heart, to the forehead, to the top of the head. Perfectly in a natural state, as if you are walking casually. You go there, you look, you become aware and drop on. And stop this also. And we move to the next stage, 6. Look at the breath going in and out, feeling the sensation of the breath, no change in the rate and the rhythm of the breath. It is almost doing nothing. By default, the breath is moving, so you are aware. That breath strikes the nose, you feel the sensation. So when I say the third point of awareness is doing no change in the rate and the rhythm of the breath, that prevents the mind to trigger if it wants to. And that state helps you to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand, your awareness on the left hand. Lift your Buddha palm, place it on your closed eyes. Wait for a while, ask your mind what is your experience, and then bring the hands down. How are you, Lara?
I had an interesting experience. I had done a meditation earlier this morning, and it kind of came right back during this one. And so it was sort of, it was interesting.
Interesting. Good.
Yeah.
Very good. How are you, Samir?
Sir, it was very peaceful. My whole body was totally unmoved.
Good.
During whole half an hour, I was totally unmoved. At the end, means it was, I was just looking at the thoughts and I was sitting aside.
Good. Very good.
Everything passing by my mind. Bye-bye.
That's a good. That is what we say, the witness consciousness that stays in meditation. How are you, Jonathan?
It was good. Today, I'm continuing to feel this stillness in my body, even though sometimes my mind isn't always perfect and focused on it. But I'm finding that even through that, I'm noticing just great stillness. And then also, one thing that's interesting is, like in the past, I've been whenever we're moving through the physical body, I've always sort of pictured, like mentally, sort of as like a third person, like I'm looking at myself, or I'm like looking. But today, for the first time, I was able to sort of be in first person doing it, and that was a bit different and good experience.
Good experience, yes. Body is always a third person, but that ego says, I am the body, physical ego. So that is really the way you have explained, it is a deeper experience. How are you, Jerry?
Hi, sir. I'm doing well. It was a really nice focused practice, and I experienced some coldness today during the Nyasa. The lower limbs were really like ice.
Ice, that's good.
Very cold. And during the Om Shantis, as well as at the end with the what is it at the end, where I had the same kind of permeating feeling of almost like a bathing. So of the Om Shantis, I feel like this cleansing almost of a permeating space that's undefined, really.
Beautiful.
And I don't know, it was a very nice practice. Thank you.
Yeah.
I also appreciate it. Lots of opportunity during the day to notice the ego.
Yes, that is, what, you just play with the ego. Don't, don't enter into a grief, I have a big ego, how to get rid of it, how not to, just play with it, all those information today that we covered, play with it and you will find, it's such a liberating experience. And that coolness has more to do with the expansion and the contraction of the prana. The prana is merging with the mind deeply. That is a good experience. How are you, my friend Stephen?
Very good. Extremely peaceful meditation. From beginning to end, working backwards. I knew, like when you said to put the focus on the right hand and the left hand, I immediately went to the right hand and the left hand, but then could have slipped right back into the meditation. And I was definitely delayed coming out of it. An incredible feeling in my heart center throughout the meditation. But basically, it was just a buildup of energy. And there were moments in which I gasped for air. I'm not sure what was happening at that point. And then a lot of lights like turning on and off during the meditation.
Love.
So.
Beautiful experience. Love lacks ego. Ego lacks love. So when that, for a momentary, just for a moment that goes away, ego goes away, the heart is filled with that sense of gratitude and love. It's an opening. That's wonderful. How are you, Sergey?
Very good, thank you. This meditation, in comparison with the previous one, was when we started breathing from a belly button. I tried to keep focusing on that area, and it looks like I'm there. I'm watching at me from inside and seeing like how it's changing. There, like how, as usual, when you say focusing your head, it's easy to understand because our eyes are here.
Yeah.
But when it's from belly button, it's not easy because our eyes is not there. We're keeping our mind here. And it was so hard before to start like watching from that side.
Look at me.
Now,
are you looking at me?
Yes.
Do you feel your right ear?
No.
What do you
Right
mean?
here.
Yes, your right ear, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't put the finger. Do you feel your nose?
Yes.
So when we use the word see inside the belly, it is this awareness we need to follow. We don't need a support of our physical eyes. Are you understanding? I just gave a solution. But your question is very thoughtful. You all are becoming a seeker. I'm so happy. You see, that is what, you rightly said the eyes are here, so it is very easy to focus here. So as if physical eyes has to see there. No! When we say, are you aware of the forehead inside? Or if I say, do you see inside? It is the same thing. Or if I say focus inside, it is all your awareness. Don't use your eyes. Eyes have a limitation. The last one, Daniel, how are you? Beautiful. I'm so happy, yes.
Sorry, for me that was very quiet meditation, and I tried to focus during the whole meditation, and I wanted to be fully aware.
Yes.
And I lost my focus 3 times.
Yes.
I counted, and for a few seconds, and then the first feeling was disappointment. Again, and then I was thinking, oh, maybe this is my ego. So
Yes.
I tried to ignore this fact and just follow. So that was a funny experience, very interesting experience.
That is wonderful way to do it. That is why, that is why we start with a talk on a particular principle. And any movement, the last thing to say, that any movement of the mind has an I thought. So you rightly said, it is very subtle ego. So don't get disappointed. Oh, I recognized you. Please go away. I don't need you. That is required. That is required. Don't fight with it. Who fights? The same ego. That is the problem. It is not something else fights in me. It is the same ego fights. So we should not be in the moment of the fight or reaction or blame and complain. This is infighting. And when that infighting stops, everything goes away. He doesn't love me, she doesn't love me. Now look at this. What is the definition? Love lacks ego. Ego lacks love. Now what I'm saying? You don't love me. Are you making a fun of yourself? So we have to become aware of that fact. Aware, and they say, yes, ego, my friend, I don't need you to say that, the world doesn't love me. And when that ego is strengthened, then you have a suicidal tendency, then you fall into anxiety, then you experience the loneliness. Otherwise, the life is full of love. So any question that you like to ask?
I have a question, Girish.
Yeah.
When you're guiding us through our meditation, what is your experience?
I also get absorbed into the same meditation which I gave you. So you have been so kind, you are attending all those sessions, which gives me another session of meditation. So whether I'm talking, you reach to a certain stage, whether you are talking, physical action, they are transcended completely. So it started happening almost 25 years ago. And it gave me, a process of evolution. And my master used to say that you remain a seeker, not claim as a teacher. Means what? The seeker, while teaching, is also in doing the same thing, what he is guiding. So you live into that state. To tell you, that also gave me another opportunity. I used to go do 6 and 8 hours of intensive meditation. After 2 hours, I feel more energy. After 3 hours, the energy is more. That's a testimony, that's a validation. It is just the opposite way. I have worked 8 hours, now I'm tired. Who is tired? Do you recall? What is this? Ego? Tamasic ego. Just recognize it. So never, since then, I think I gave a couple of hours of session in Lara's studio. So it's a fun and play. Fun and play. How are you? Any more questions? Jonathan, continue. Give the practice to Jordan also. Let everyone do. Just see that. Live into that state. Living into that state. The next step that we will take up, that how that that meditation is structured. There are more than 29 stages of meditation as explained by Patanjali. I have collected all the steps from 4 chapters, but can be divided into a couple of them. And then the master in the next session says how to meditate on formless. Formless. There is no name, there is no form, there is no object. Can you see the space through your eyes? So that formless drops completely the ego. But don't think that it will happen in a day. So if you remember all the 14 steps, previous 14 steps, they lay a strong foundation. Then in the next week we will have a glimpse of what is formless meditation. Just in talk. We'll continue doing that meditation. And the real journey starts from Shravanam, the 16th step. Now the mind is clear and it is ready to understand the principle that is known as. You see that, do I know Lara? Yes, I know it. Is there any doubt? No doubt. No doubt. Am I aware of the real self? I understand it, but I don't experience it. See that? I express the same way. Do I know the Lara? Yes, I know her. Do I know my real self? No, I have already explained to you. Why don't you know it? Why don't you know it? So what prevents the mind not to know it is, first process is constant listening, different ways of expression, different explanation of the same principle. One day it hits, followed by the practice. One day, oh yes, now I understand. This is what you say, what you are saying. I know it. The way Sergey was asking the question, my eye is physical. My mind is 99% physical. When I say see, eyes. No. Without the eyes I can see. Means I can be aware, I can know the things. Otherwise, if it is possible, then tell your eyes to hear. Then you see the limitation. Tell your eyes to taste. So recognize the limitation and throw it away. Recognize the limitation. Eyes, nose, 5 sense organs. Can any sense organ see anything inside? Answer is no. Senses are one-sided windows. Sometimes we keep the windows, we can see outside, but other people from outside, they cannot see us inside. That is the nature, that is the limitation of these sense organs. So when that knowledge is settled in me, by practice and experience, you know the limitation of these 5 sense organs. And you play with it. Then you don't get concerned. You have a play and fun with it. So same thing, gradually we understand the limitations of the mind. We understand the limitations of the intellect also. And then we come to the ego. Come on, you are a helper. Thank you very much. I know myself as an individual. That is all. Your journey is over. I don't need you. It is that ego which forces me that I am present at such a place. Stephen is present in his house, Lara is present in the studio. It is that limitation caused by the ego. It enters as an unwanted guest and then it hooks you to something. We are not aware of it. Who is Lara? Who is Lara among you? Another limitation. It's a name. See that? Mental ego. Ego is not all about every time, all about self-image, self-bragging. No. That we Western people think that way. So it limits me. I am absolute. Ego limits me as relative. Through many subtle actions in the life. So Saturday's session, that is, we are doing it at the highest level. Based on the teachings of another master. You know, the last thing, the Socrates says that those people who say they know it, leave them, they don't know it. Huh? Have you heard about that proverb? Those who say they don't know, they keep their silence. No. They know it. You cannot express through the word, language. That absolute, that infinite, that pure consciousness, that is full of abundance of love and peace and happiness and joy.
Is that the heart?
Yes and no, both. No in a sense of physical heart. And
right, but
yes, in the sense of heart is being used in Eastern wisdom as a seat of pure consciousness, seat of our true nature, located exactly at the center of the rib cage, neither right side nor left side. So when Stephen was narrating his experience of that heart, opening. So sometimes there is a sudden opening. But it should remain open all the time. Means what? You said goodbye to the ego. I'm focusing only on that part of today's talk. So you already said goodbye to it. It doesn't mean that you are working in your day-to-day life and you don't force someone to do something. You do it. But sometimes what happens, like tamasic ego. Can I tell Samir? Samir, can I tell?
Yes, sir.
Can I tell?
Yes, sir, you can tell anything.
I can tell anything. Now it happens in Indians, privacy issues is here. I used to tell him to do some work for my work in India. So he said, no, sir, He never said that I'm busy. Sir, I don't know about this. How can I do it? It is tamasic ego. First time, second time. He is very close to me. And so I said, okay. But then I smiled at myself. I said, mind, wretched mind, why you are pushing this guy to do the thing? Let him live in tamasic ego. That idealness or letharginess. I stopped saying anything. Don't do anything to me. That is how you live your life. I also shouted at him, no, why don't you do it? You can do it. And then I realized, and one most beautiful example. I know I love both of them, but it is just for the sake of knowing and educating yourself. That is more important. That is the masses. Samir and his honey is Kavita. Now, you see the tamasic ego? He cannot open his computer. It is the honey that wakes up in the morning, that sets everything, that says, come on, my honey, now please, you do meditation. Leave me relaxed. Can that be possible in US? So I'm just opening up to understand these activities, the way we think and speak and act, has to change in light of my real self. You see that? Letharginess, I don't want to learn. So now, can I reach to the highest state of meditation? The answer is no. Tamasic ego. I have to break it. I have to break it. You see, different ways. So our masters, give you that deeper insight into what exactly is the real nature, how it works, and how ego prevents working. Rajasic ego is also there. When it comes to the challenges that he has to face in the life, he gets upset. Then he inquires, he does the right thing. Rajasic ego. That is right. That is right. Lot of stuff to be known. So no, Samir will not take it as offense. I know that, we have been together for 25 years, so that's why I explain. I hold back, but I enjoy myself. I'm aware. You are aware. The teacher is aware, but we take it easy. Okay, everything is good. Everything is good. Why? Did you learn how to remain indifferent? You apply the principle. You don't worry. You don't even think of it. Instantly you become aware, indifferent, done. Finished. You still have the same smile on your face. It is the result of deeper meditation. See that? That is how it works. We're just, giving you a glimpse of it. Thank you, Samir, for sharing our experiences together. Never stop, Kavita, to set up your computer to start a session.
Sir, actually, I come from outside now, so sometimes I'm in toilet, so she sets up and I come and join your session. So
see an excuse. Look at an excuse. Do you understand the entire functioning of the mind? So from today, when you are hungry, tell your honey, please eat for me.
No, sir, she cooks for me. No. I never cook anything.
Eat for me. When you have...
she can eat, sir.
Challenge that tamasic ego, how she should do it. You will get the answer. When you have an urge to go to the restroom, honey, go for me. I'm resting. You see, now we hammer on the mind. Lara, that is, the teacher hammers on your mind. Why don't you think right? That's the right approach. But I'm very careful with people in US. Privacy issues, lot of issues are there. Without any reserve, without anything. So from today, now, when you feel hungry, call your honey, say, please eat for me. Finished. That breaks the shell of that tamasic ego. So, this is one practice. This is one step. No, it does not mean that you are okay. Some days you are late and she sets up everything. Now it has become a routine. So that routine. Anyhow, that is all. Any more questions?